Okay, so, everyone is always talking about self-driving cars these days, right?
Yeah. Seems like it's all over the news.
Well, today we're doing a deep dive into a pretty provocative question.
Okay.
Like, when you think about who's going to win the whole self-driving race, who's going to be the biggest winner,
Right.
like the company that really benefits the most.
Right.
I think a lot of people immediately think of like Tesla.
Yeah, they're definitely the big name.
But we're going to dig into a really interesting analysis that suggests that maybe another company might actually end up being the biggest winner.
Interesting. So, like, kind of a dark horse candidate?
Exactly. And this is going to be a great deep dive for you, the listener. If you want to get up to speed quickly on what's really important, the big trends in the automotive industry and the AI world, this is like your inside track.
Okay, ready.
Okay, so we've been looking at a really insightful article from The Motley Fool.
Oh, yeah. They always have good stuff.
Yeah, and they make a really compelling case for why a different company could be the one that benefits the most from this whole self-driving revolution.
I'm curious to hear who they think it is.
Yeah, and our goal here is to, break down their argument for you and really reveal the key reasons why they think this company might have this edge.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so the article starts off by pointing out something that I think is really important.
Okay.
It's that AI, artificial intelligence,
right,
it's already having a much bigger impact on the car industry than most people realize.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, beyond just self-driving, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's way beyond just the whole, driverless car thing. They point out that AI is being used for all sorts of things, like optimizing manufacturing processes.
All right.
Using robots on assembly lines to, help build the cars.
Makes sense.
And they also talk about how it's helping to boost cost efficiency across the board.
Oh, yeah, that's crucial for any industry.
Yeah. And of course, they mention the whole thing about AI powering the voice assistants that we're seeing more and more of in our cars.
Right. Like those are getting pretty sophisticated these days.
Exactly. So I think the article does a good job of setting the stage by showing just how fundamental AI is already becoming in the car industry.
Yeah, it really is becoming like, the brains of the operation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a really important point because it suggests that the intelligence behind our vehicles is becoming as important, if not more important, than who's actually making the physical car itself.
Right. The software and the hardware are becoming intertwined in a way that we haven't seen before.
Exactly. And that's where this whole discussion gets really interesting.
Okay.
So the article acknowledges, right up front, that Tesla has made some incredible advancements in their autonomous driving software.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You can't have a conversation about self-driving cars without talking about Tesla and the progress they've made.
I mean, they've been a leader in this space for a while now.
Right. But here's where the analysis gets really thought-provoking.
So?
They suggest that Tesla's future success in the self-driving space might be kind of dependent on whether their specific approach to self-driving tech becomes the widely adopted standard.
Oh, that's interesting. So, they're betting on their own system, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's like they've built this whole ecosystem around their own unique vision of how self-driving should work.
Okay, but that seems a little risky, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what if the rest of the industry goes in a different direction?
Exactly. And the article digs into that risk. It points out that if the broader market, all the other car companies don't really embrace Tesla's approach, then Tesla could end up being seen as more of a traditional car maker.
Oh, I see.
Rather than this cutting edge tech innovator that they're known for now.
Yeah, that would be a big shift in perception.
And the article highlights that the traditional car market is super competitive.
Oh, yeah, it's a tough business.
With a lot of pressure to keep prices low.
Right, and that can squeeze profit margins.
Exactly, and that can make it harder for companies to invest in big new innovations.
Yeah, it becomes a race to the bottom almost.
So the point they're making is that if Tesla's self-driving tech doesn't become the undisputed leader, a gold standard, then they could face some serious challenges down the road.
That's a really interesting perspective. I hadn't thought about it that way before.
Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. And the article goes even further and says that Tesla's current valuation,
which is pretty high right now.
Yeah, it's really high. And it's largely based on their image as this, high growth tech company.
Right.
But if the market starts to see them as just another car company, facing all that competition.
Yeah.
Then that valuation could take a hit.
That makes sense.
Okay, so with that potential challenge for Tesla laid out, the article shifts gears and focuses on the company they think is actually best positioned to win big in this whole AI-powered car space.
Okay, so who do they think it is?
They say it's Nvidia.
I mean,
Yeah, and a lot of us think of Nvidia for their graphics cards, right?
yeah, like the ones we use in our computers for gaming and stuff.
Exactly. But their role in the car industry is totally different from Tesla's, direct-to-consumer approach.
Right. So how are they involved?
Well, the article highlights that instead of just focusing on putting their tech in their own cars, like Tesla does,
Yeah.
Nvidia is partnering with a bunch of different car manufacturers all over the world.
Oh, so they're taking more of a collaborative approach.
Exactly. And they're working with some pretty big names, too. Like they mentioned Rivian, Toyota, BYD, Mercedes-Benz, Hyundai.
Wow, that's a wide range of companies.
Right. It's a really broad spectrum of the car industry, which shows you how widespread Nvidia's reach is.
Yeah, it seems like they're hedging their bets a little bit by not tying themselves to just one company's vision.
Exactly. It's like they're providing the underlying intelligence, the brains that could power a lot of different self-driving systems.
I like that analogy. It's like they're supplying the engines for all the race cars.
Yeah, exactly. And the article points to one partnership in particular as being really important.
Okay, which one?
It's their collaboration with General Motors.
Oh, wow, GM, that's a big one.
Yeah, and this partnership was announced at NVIDIA's big GTC conference.
So what exactly are they working on together?
Well, the article says that GM is going to be using a few of NVIDIA's key technology platforms.
Oh.
There's Omniverse, which is like a shared virtual world where they can design and simulate things.
Oh, that's cool. So they can test out ideas virtually before building anything physical.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's Cosmos, which is their high-fidelity driving simulator.
Oh, so they can simulate all kinds of driving scenarios.
Yeah, like different weather conditions, traffic situations, all sorts of stuff.
That's amazing.
And then the third platform they're using is Drive AGX, which is their super powerful computer platform for autonomous vehicles.
Okay, so that's like the brains of the self-driving system.
Exactly. And the article makes it clear that these aren't just theoretical tools. Like GM is actually going to use these platforms to develop more advanced driver assistance systems for their cars.
Oh, wow. So these are real-world applications.
Yeah, and they're also going to use them to make their manufacturing plants more efficient.
Oh, interesting. So the impact goes beyond just the cars themselves.
Exactly. It's about using AI to improve their entire operation.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Okay, so the article also dives into some interesting numbers about how much money NVIDIA is making from their automotive business.
Okay, let's hear it.
So they break down their automotive revenue for each quarter of 2024.
Okay.
In the first quarter, they made $329 million.
Not bad.
Then in the second quarter, it went up a bit to $346 million.
Okay, so a steady increase.
Yeah, and then in the third quarter, it jumped up to $449 million.
Oh, wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah. And then they finished the year strong with $570 million in the fourth quarter.
That's impressive.
So for the whole year, they made a total of $1.7 billion from their automotive business.
$1.7 billion. That's huge.
It is, and that represents a year-over-year growth rate of 55%.
55%. That's a massive growth rate.
Yeah, it shows you how much momentum they have in the car industry.
Right, but I guess it's still a relatively small part of their overall business right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. The article mentions that the $1.7 billion only made up about 1% of NVIDIA's total revenue in 2024.
Okay, so it's growing fast, but it's still a small slice of the pie.
Right, but here's where things get really exciting.
Okay.
During their earnings call, NVIDIA's management said that they expect their automotive business to almost triple this year to around $5 billion in revenue.
Wow, triple. That's a huge jump.
It is, and it shows how confident they are about their future in the car industry.
Yeah, that's a bold prediction.
And the article points out that the automotive segment is currently NVIDIA's fastest growing business outside of their data center division.
Which is their main business, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's clear that NVIDIA is making a big bet on the car industry.
Definitely. And they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so bringing all this together, what's the main reason why the article thinks that NVIDIA might actually be the biggest winner in the self-driving car race?
Right, compared to Tesla.
Yeah, well, their main argument is that NVIDIA's success is more insulated than Tesla's.
Okay, what do they mean by that?
Well, remember how we talked about how Tesla is kind of betting on their own specific self-driving system?
Yeah.
NVIDIA isn't doing that. They're partnering with all these different car companies.
Right, so they're not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And that means that NVIDIA doesn't have to rely on any one company's vision for the future of self-driving.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So as more and more car makers start adding AI-powered features to their cars,
Yeah.
NVIDIA is in a great position to capitalize on that trend, regardless of which specific self-driving technology ends up being the most popular.
I see. So they're betting on the overall trend of AI in cars, not just one particular approach.
Exactly. It's like they're betting on the rising tide that will lift all boats.
Makes sense.
And the article makes a really clear distinction for investors.
Right.
If you invest in Tesla, you're basically betting that their specific self-driving technology will become the industry standard.
Right. You're betting on them winning the whole race.
Yeah. But if you invest in Nvidia, you're betting on the broader trend of AI adoption across the entire car industry.
So it's a less risky bet in a way.
Exactly. It's like you're betting on the fact that no matter who wins the race, the cars are still going to need brains.
I like that analogy.
So the takeaway for you, the listener, is that while Tesla is definitely a big player in the self-driving space,
Yeah, for sure.
this analysis suggests that Nvidia might actually be in a better position to benefit from this whole technological shift.
Right, because they're taking a more diversified approach.
Exactly. And it raises some really interesting questions about the future of the car industry.
Like what?
Like, do you think we'll see more partnerships between tech giants like Nvidia and traditional car makers?
I think that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah. And how do you think companies like Tesla will adapt to this changing landscape?
That's a good question. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch how this all plays out.
Yeah, Phil?
And it really makes you think about the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
The race to self-driving cars isn't just about building the coolest car.
Right.
It's also about who can provide the artificial intelligence that will power this whole revolution.
Yeah, it's like the brains behind the beauty.
Exactly. So that's something to keep in mind as we move forward.
Definitely food for thought.
Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure.
Until next time.
See ya.
Yeah.
Bye.